Hello there, the Internet Tough Monkey here once again. Hope that you're all well. Thank you for stopping by. Okay, Black Friday has been and gone, and I've got a pile of stuff down here that needs unboxing, testing, and reviewing. And Storm is here for a reason because I always refer to her as my Sim Hound. Because of a evening time after I finish working in here, I pull out my Fanatec CSL steering wheel, which is mounted on a collapsing wheel stand pro mount, and I sit here and play Gran Turismo, EAWRC, Dirt Rally, F1, whatever it is, and she will come along, lie on here, and fall asleep in front of the TV. And for that, I call her my little Sim Hound. And well, I've got a new Fanatec setup coming in the next couple of weeks in the run up to Christmas, which is a higher spec thing with higher force feedback. And I think it's about time I got myself some driving gloves. I do have some Alpine Stars karting gloves, which I've tried using to drive the steering wheel before. It just doesn't really work. But I've gone out and bought these, which are some Sim Hound driving gloves and some Sim Hound driving boots. Now, I don't know how you guys work, but I tend to drive barefooted. In fact, I quite often drive in the real world barefooted. I just prefer it. I feel as though I've got I'm close to nature. I can feel everything a lot better than I can through boots. But I'm hoping these. Look at those. They are very, very slender soles on them. So I'm hoping I can feel everything I need to, but also offer me the protection when I'm using the new pedals that are coming in the next few weeks. The gloves that I've got, if I can have my hand back, Storm, with all the slob on it. Thanks very much. What I've brought here is this is a bit of a journey into the unknown, really, because these are. There you go. Inspect them. You've not seen these before, have you? So these are the Sim Hound racing gloves, which they are stitched on the outside. My karting gloves are quite old, actually, and they're stitched on the inside. So it'll be interesting to see how these work with all the buttons on the steering wheel. Now, it's got a touchscreen there, which is important to me because I usually have my iPad or my phones knocking about beside beside my setup, so I want to be able to use the capacitive touchscreen using those. So I'll see how that works, and yeah, I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to set up my wheel. I'm going to play it over the next few weeks. It's going to be a few weeks before my new Fanatec comes, so I may not have that by the time I finish this review. Hopefully it will come by then, but I'm going to try them out, give them my honest opinion, and I shall let you guys know. And I'm sure you're just going to fall asleep on the desk in front of me, aren't you? Yeah, you are, aren't you? Okay then, I've loaded up Gran Turismo 7 and I've got Nürburgring on at the moment. I'm going to show you a number of the different gloves that I've got at my disposal. I don't usually use gloves, I just prefer it driving like this. But as I'm upgrading to a steering wheel with a higher force feedback, I thought it might be time to invest in some gloves so that I don't get quite so sore hands after extended playing sessions. So I'm going to show you first my Alpine Stars karting gloves. Now I've had these for 15, 20 odd years from when I was actively karting. And obviously they are great for endurance driving sessions. And if you're just using the steering wheel on its own, then it's perfectly fine. It's when you start to involve all the buttons and little joysticks and whatever. So do apologise for my driving standards here. I'm obviously talking to you. I'm not really paying a great deal of attention to what I'm doing here. But just for steering, perfectly fine. It's as soon as I start to involve trying to adjust settings and stuff like that, and the fingers and the thumb, they're just not designed for that kind of thing. So they're not ideal for this, and obviously as well, they are not intended in any way, shape or form for touchscreens, so they are not ideal. Great for just steering, but anything beyond that, not so good. I mean, they served me very well, and they're obviously easy to get on and off. I did experiment with these. These are, I don't even know where they actually came from, but they are just purely gloves that have a single finger that has been removed. It's not been snipped off. It's meant to be like that, but it's actually really quite good. But they're quite warm gloves. They're almost, I think they're actually cycling gloves or walking gloves, just to keep your finger out. But obviously perfectly good with a touchscreen on that finger. I used them for a few weeks, but never really got on with them too well. Your hands just got too hot and sweaty because they're quite thick, warm gloves. They're meant for outdoors. Then we've got the Sim Hound gloves. Now these are the full fingered gloves, and I've had these a few weeks now, and I've got on with them pretty well. They are very comfortable. These are a large size gloves, which I sit between a medium and a large glove. So although they're very comfortable, they they're just a little bit baggy, just a little bit of excess on there. So that means the material is moving across my hands a little bit as I'm sawing away at the wheel, which isn't perfect. But as a driving glove, they're a lot. Not paying any attention whatsoever. But as a driving glove, they are much more comfortable on a similar sim racing setup rather than gloves as thick as that. They are quite a slimline material, and they've been generally comfortable over long gaming sessions. I've enjoyed using them. The only issue is, and there's a couple of issues actually, because they are stitched on the outside. The fingers are quite wide, quite flat, and it means, certainly on my thumb is very flat, all the stitching around that, and it means I'm catching multiple buttons. With certainly on the Fanatec PlayStation layout, where you've got the X triangle, circle, and square, as I'm looking at it now, my thumb is covering all 4 buttons. It's very difficult to just select one single button, and it's not ideal. I mean, not everyone's going to have that kind of problem, I'm sure, but it's not ideal for me. And also, pay attention as I come through this section here, it's great for touchscreen, provided you are getting the screen absolutely flat on. So, again, not paying any attention. I really don't drive as bad as this, honestly. But it's all right when you're driving and you're swiping across with your finger absolutely flat on the screen. But as soon as you start to rotate your finger forward, so you're pointing at the screen, it's only capturing it ever so slightly, if at all. It's not ideal, and that's always been the problem with these capacitive finger touchscreen things. They don't work ideally all the time. They're never brilliant. I've got lots of gloves like this for walking outdoors, and they're not ideal. So, although the gloves are very, very comfortable, I really, really do think they are comfortable, and they're easy to get on and off, they're not ideal for my purposes, which is why I went out and bought these gloves. These weren't on offer when I bought those. Sorry, that's not even wrong. They weren't even in stock when I bought those ones, so I didn't have any option. They were on offer during Black Friday. These weren't even available. I had these in my wish list for a long, long time, but they're never ever in stock. They came in stock about a week and a half after I'd bought those, and I thought, what the heck? I'm not getting the full use out of those ones. Let's try these ones instead. And I've only had these a short period of time, but they are so much better, certainly for my application. They're almost like mountain bike gloves. I've got a pair of gloves very, very similar to this that I used to use on my mountain bike many years ago. But I think these are a better all-round glove for my application, certainly. These are the medium size, so my hands are almost just a touch on the big 2 side for these, so I'm still bedding these in. They feel quite reasonably tight at the moment. They're almost like Lycra. They're not Lycra, but they almost feel as tight as Lycra. But even after the short period of time I've been using them, they've started to expand and mould to my hand a lot more, so they're much more comfortable. I've got full articulation with my hand. Driving, I've still got the protection on my, again, not paying any attention, I've still got the full protection on my on the palms of my hand, on the soft fleshy bits, for protection over long periods of time on these endurance races. But I've also got full articulation and mobility with my fingers and thumbs to catch all the buttons without catching any of the other buttons adjacent to them. So for my application, they're really, really good. And obviously, because I've got no fabric over my fingers whatsoever, I've got full use of a touchscreen on this iPad here with all fingers and all thumbs. So I'm much happier with these. I stayed in that hotel there, Ada now. I'm paying no attention to the game, am I? Right. I think these are brilliant. I think these are really nice. As someone who doesn't generally like wearing gloves, I can see the benefit of them if you're going to be using a steering wheel with high force feedback resistance. It's because it's just going to be tearing away at your hands, certainly as you're driving on longer sessions. And let's face it, some of these driving sessions we have can last for many, many hours. So I think these are really, really good. And I think I paid £25 for them, which is the standard price. They weren't on offer at all. They're not often in stock. I've been looking at them for quite some time, and whenever I've looked, they've never been in stock. But as it happened, the time that I looked, literally days after I'd bought these ones, they were in stock. And I knew I wasn't going to get the full benefit out of that because I'd already started to not use them. Certainly when I'm playing EAWRC Rally, and I found that I'd started to use them, and then in between each stage, and I'm going to talk to you now, in between each stage, I needed all the articulation of my fingers to say repair the car, change tyres, and whatever like that, and I was never catching it quite right. I found myself taking the glove off after each individual stage, and it's just not ideal, and it's not going to prolong the life of the gloves taking them off all the time. So I think for my purposes specifically, these are a much better glove than those are, and I really do recommend them. They are very, very comfortable. The stitching on them seems okay. I'm not going to say the stitching seems absolutely brilliant. I wonder how long the stitching on the Velcro is going to, because every time you pull that up, it's just a little bit not too sure. I think it was one of the fingered gloves as well. There's already a couple of pieces of stitching to come out, so I will wait to see what the longevity of the gloves are. But overall, they seem comfortable. They're doing the job very, very nicely. The only issue I would say with these fingerless gloves is they're a little bit more difficult to get off the nose, because usually you pull from the fingers. Obviously, they're not there, so you've got to find a bit of fabric to pull them off. So you end up teasing them off a bit like that. But other than that, I've been really impressed with those. Okay then, in summary, the Sim Hound short fingered driving gloves I think are superb. I'm looking forward to using these over the coming weeks, months and hopefully years. The Sim Hound long fingered gloves, although still comfortable and very good driving gloves, I didn't find were quite ideal for my purposes. So really good, but not for me. The Sim Racing boots, the Sim Hound racing boots, I think are absolutely superb. I hardly feel that I've got them on my feet. As I've said before, I prefer driving barefooted, and they are so slim and slender, I really wouldn't smell them still. I think they're extremely superb, and they're because they're slip-on, you're straight on and off and driving. You don't have to lace anything up. I think they're spot on. So, what do you reckon, Storm? Is that a high five? Do you think? High five. Good girl. Okay, I'll see you next time. Take it easy.